Counterpunch promo live in 3, 2, 1.
Live from the Counterpunch studios in Grand Blanc, Michigan, it's time for real lives, real families, real fitness. It's time for Noel Fitness.
Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Noel Fitness. Hopefully everyone is having a fantastic Sunday night. It is Sunday night if you were watching live at 8 p.m., precisely 1 hour, I'm told, before The Walking Dead premiere. So we're gonna have a good time just working on getting this live feed up so that I can see everyone's questions. It's gonna be a good show tonight. Just wanted to give a quick shout out real quick to everyone who's making this happen. Got to turn down that volume real quick. And here we go. Hopefully you are excited for the show. Hopefully everyone is able to get something out of it. The topic tonight is how to get started in a fitness routine, which can be overwhelming for a lot of people. And we will get into that. I just wanted to give a quick shout out, like I said, first of all to Mr. Brian Calicay, the owner of Grand Blanc Fit Buddy Bootcamp, where I am broadcasting from live tonight and every Sunday night at 8 p.m. for Noel Fitness Live. I'm trying to make I'm trying really hard to not make any jokes about Fitness Live versus other shows that end in live that have been going for a long time. I'll let you use your imagination for that. But we'd also like to give a shout out to Sir Brian Brody, Sir Matt Connerton, and of course, Mr. Producer back there, Wayne Noel. I got some good news for everyone too. I found out. So last week, I was ranked number 9 in the IPM Nation top 10 shows. That was awesome. This week, we moved up to number 8. Number 8, so we are slowly making that climb, which means everyone who is supporting me, that is great. And I know I've said that a lot, but I really can't thank you enough. We're super pumped to keep this show going. We're looking forward to keeping it rolling for a long period of time. And we have some other things that are in the works for the show that will hopefully make it better, from interviews with different people who I'm working on right now, so I can't confirm anyone. But when we get to that point, it's going to be a blast. That being said, I think we should get started on this topic. So, when we're talking about starting a fitness routine, pretty sure everyone has been there, either first starting out or getting back into it, or maybe you've even been doing things for a while, but maybe you've kind of gone about things the wrong way, you're not seeing any progress. Let's go back to basics. That's what we're here for today, is going back to the basics, which a lot of people forget about, and I'm gonna go into that quite a bit. First thing that anyone should have in their mind is why they're doing something. Sometimes you just do things to do things. That's fine, we all do it. It's how life goes. You just go out and you do something because you feel like doing something, which is great. But especially in something like health and fitness, what happens when that initial burst of motivation goes away? A lot of things can happen. Like you stop going, or you decide that you're going to take a little bit of a break, or the list goes on and on and on. It's always an or this or that or this or that. We can play that game all night long. Let's not. First off, figure out why you want to start. Why do you want to start working out? On the surface, people will say, and based on what we've heard here in my other position, we hear we just want to lose 5 pounds. That's why we're going to start working out. Well, it goes a little bit deeper than that. Why do you want to lose that weight? For some people, it's because of health reasons. Maybe you're pre-diabetic and you want to not be that way, because diabetes is not fun. And anyone who has diabetes can definitely tell you that. Maybe your spouse has been saying things which is a whole other conversation, but maybe you just want to look good, or maybe you had kids and you wanted to get back to your pre-kid body. It can be any of these things. The only thing I will say is try and make sure that it is a reason for yourself. If it's a reason for other people, that can work short term, but if you're not in it for yourself, the chances of falling off might be greater. Being able to run around with your kids, that's still a reason for you. And a lot of people do want to run around with their kids. I want to be that 70-year-old grandpa who's able to run around and whose grandkids are going, man, grandpa can do all of these things, that's awesome. Figuring things like that out will go a lot farther than just going, working out sounds cool, I want to lose 5 pounds. Because what happens when you lose that 5 pounds? All of a sudden, oh, we want to lose 5 more pounds. Oh, we want to lose 10 pounds. Oh, we want to get down to a certain percentage of body fat. All of those are awesome goals, but it needs to be the long term. How are we going to turn this into a lifestyle choice? And to what end are we willing to go to achieve that goal? A good way to think about getting yourself to that point is to ask yourself why 5 times. It might be something, you might get something like, we want to look good naked. I feel like everyone wants to look good naked. I'm not going to lie. Now that we have that figured out, that was step 1. Step 2, start slow. There are a lot of people, this is honestly one of the biggest mistakes that we see in the fitness industry, is a lot of people think that they should be jumping into working out 5 or 6 days a week, and then they get super overwhelmed. Start slow. Start 2 or 3 days a week. That's really all you need to get started. From there, make sure you're scheduling it. If you don't schedule it, chances are you're going to be running around, especially if you don't work out in the morning. One of the best things about working out early in the morning is you wake up and you get your workout done, and you already have the hardest part physically, in most cases, manual labor excluded, but you have that hardest part of your day already done, so it's coasting through the rest of your day. That is one of my favorite reasons for working out in the morning, is because then you get it done, and you don't have to worry about it for the rest of the day, and it feels awesome. And like I said, you really only need to go the 2 or 3 days a week starting out. Starting out, especially if you've never worked out before in your life, those first couple days are going to be rough. No sugarcoating it. They shouldn't be so rough that you can't walk for a week. Let's talk about that for a second. Don't just assume you can do everything that you used to be able to do. Say, and let's make a hypothetical. We're creating a case study here. 35-year-old played football in high school, and a year or 2 in college decided that they would rather just focus on academics, went off, kind of stopped working out after that. High school football players, college football players can do a lot of things physically. They are very, very, very talented, gifted athletes. But fitness is also one of those things that if you don't use it, you lose it. I'll let everyone else guess what that reference is to. But if you don't use it, you really do lose it when it comes to health and fitness. So that person who hasn't been playing football for 12 years all of a sudden decides, oh, hey, we can do box jumps onto a 40-inch box. We can bench press 245 pounds for 15 reps. All of these other things they could do in college, they try and do that same intensity workout right off the bat, and they wreck themselves. And then they don't want to work out anymore because they have a rough realization that they can't handle that anymore. That's why you start slow, because you need to figure out what your body can actually handle and where you're actually at. And that's one of the things that a lot of people have a hard time with. They come in, they decide, I'm going to go 5 days a week, I'm going to tear this up, I'm going to work out for an hour and a half a day, I'm going to crush it, I'm going to go running for 3 miles a day, and a month down the line, they are beat down, worn out, falling asleep, driving home from the gym because they can't handle it anymore, and then they fall back off the wagon. It's all about sustainability. I feel like in the past couple episodes, I've been talking about that a lot, but what can you sustainably accomplish day in and day out? If that is, I can accomplish one 45-minute workout on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 3:30 to 4:15 in the afternoon, let's go. Let's get after it. If it is, I can only do 2 days a week, schedule allowing. It has to be a Tuesday and a Saturday. Okay, let's make it happen. Something is better than nothing. From there, you can start to ramp it up. Okay, we have 3 days down. We have 3 days down pat. I would like to do some more. Okay, awesome. 4 days, here we go. 5 days, okay. 6 to 7 days, I'm personally kind of iffy on, depending on your goals and the end game. And I'm talking, are you being competitive at something versus recreational at something? So if you are just working out to get in better shape, 4 to 5 days is probably going to be fine. You do want a couple rest days. But if you are trying to be competitive at a sport, you might need those 6 days, especially if it is a weightlifting-based sport. So if you get into Olympic weightlifting or powerlifting, you're probably going to want 5 to 6 days. That being said, there are circumstances and exceptions to that rule, so it is definitely a case-by-case basis. Next order of business, what should you be accomplishing? What should you be going for? I'm going to say outright, I am a power lifter. I love barbell movements. Are they for everybody? Absolutely not. If you cannot squat with proper form, which will be, I'll make a video for a proper squat form just to make sure, but if you cannot squat with proper form, you really have no business even adding weight. Let's focus on those fundamentals, because those fundamentals are the base. They're the foundation, and you can build from there. A lot of people see the Instagram models squatting 315 pounds, deadlifting 405 or 500 pounds, and they want to be able to do that, but at what cost? What you don't see with those Instagram models is all of the hard work and the not super good reps that go into that, or the work, because technique work really isn't sexy, so why are they posting? They don't post that on Instagram. If you want to be like an elite athlete, so let's take a CrossFit athlete. So say you want to look like an athlete named Rich Froning or Matt Frazier, two of the top CrossFit athletes on the planet. You shouldn't start training how they're training now. You should look at how they were training 10 or 15 years ago and start there to start building that base. Just like people see Arnold Schwarzenegger and they want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, so they go with what Arnold Schwarzenegger was doing for his workouts in his prime. What they don't see is the 15 years of powerlifting training to get a strong strength base before he even became a bodybuilder. 15 years is a little stretching it, but he was a powerlifter well before he was a bodybuilder. It takes time to build that foundation, but it is so important that you do. That also helps taper soreness. A lot of people feel like being sore, throwing up, et cetera, are badges of honor when you're working out. Definitely not the case. If you're feeling like you're going to throw up, that means your body is saying something's wrong, something's not right here. And it's not just you're pushing yourself super hard. It's your body is rejecting something. Plus, if you walk off the floor to go throw up, number one, there's a chemical response in your body, so your body does not like it. And then if you go right back to training, there's a negative response there. Number two, if you're doing a timed circuit, like a high-intensity interval training circuit, you're taking away from your workout. All of a sudden, you're getting a little extra rest, which may or may not be needed. Obviously, if you're throwing up, it is needed, actually, so don't feel like that's a good gauge. But you're also not working out because you're busy doing something that's not related. Being sore is the same thing. A little bit of muscle soreness, delayed onset muscle soreness is what it's called, by the way, or DOMS for short. So if you ever hear anyone talking about having DOMS, that's what that is. It's that muscle soreness a day or two after the workout. A little bit of that is fine. It's good. When you can't walk for a week after a leg day, that's a problem because number one, you way overdid it. Number two, your muscles aren't anywhere near used to that. And number three, you're impacting your day of life or your everyday life. You're not able to walk around. You're not able to chase your kids around. And if, again, you're a normal person, you got to be tapered off to that. We're going to take a quick break for 30 seconds, We'll be right back.
Welcome to Your Story Told Live. Wirecast is the award-winning production software for streaming and recording high-quality live video. Transform your computer into a television studio, switching between live camera inputs while mixing in your movies, music, audio, and slides for that creatively professional look and feel. Wirecast, because if you've got a powerful message, it deserves to be told live.
And we're back. In case you're just tuning in now, you are watching Derek Noel Fitness Live. I am Derek Noel, and we are talking about how to get started in a fitness routine. I was just talking about muscle soreness and how you want to avoid that, but in the break, I actually realized that I need to take it a few more steps back, because how do you find a gym to work out at? That's also pretty important as well. Try different gyms. You might walk into the very first gym and fall in love, or think you've fallen in love until you walk into another gym. This can happen a lot until you find that right atmosphere. For example, I'm here at Fit Body Boot Camp. Is this the right fit for every single person who walks in the door? Absolutely not. I would be really ignorant if I said that. Some people really like those old school 70s era, dust everywhere, chalk everywhere, smells like sweat, hard work, 90 degrees in the wintertime. Some people love that. Other people want someplace a little bit more quiet, very sleek, very clean, and that's where they feel good. Other people want to be somewhere where it's loud and you have an awesome atmosphere going on. Play around with different gyms. Figure out what works for you. If you walk into a place and you're immediately uncomfortable, first off, decide whether it's because you're just nervous about working out, or is it something about the gym that legitimately makes you uncomfortable? And from there, ask questions. Ask what the hours are. Ask what kind of people are typically in there. Ask if they have any personal trainers, especially if you've never worked out before. I highly recommend starting with a personal trainer, or at the very least, trying to find someone online who can walk you through it. Finding that right place for you will go a long way, because if you can keep yourself motivated, or you can find that group of people that will keep you motivated, that's the money. All of a sudden you have accountability, and the sooner you can find someone who will keep you accountable, whether it's a spouse or a friend or someone in a group fitness session, which is what we run into a lot here, finding those people to keep you accountable goes a long way, because you might not always feel like working out, but the important thing is that you try and do something. If you need a rest day, take it, but determine whether you need it or you just want one. There's a difference between that want and that need, and we need to figure out what that is. I'm going to take a break real quick, jump into the thread, and I wanted to thank Chris. Chris says, woo. I'm assuming that was for the number 8, so thank you, Chris. Hello, Heidi, how's it going? I know that puking does not sound good. Carradine, how's it going today? Thank you all for tuning in. Remember, if you have any questions, I am doing a Q&A at the last 5 minutes of the show. So in about 8 minutes, we're going to be jumping on that. Jumping back into the topic at hand, beginning a fitness routine. Ask for advice. If you have any friends at all who have started working out, please, please, please do not be afraid to ask them for advice, ask them for pointers, ask them for tips. Just trying to research what you are doing might not be enough. Having someone to show you how to do something. Watching YouTube videos for a lot of people is not enough, especially if you've never worked out before in your life, or if you're trying to do, say, a squat, and all of a sudden you're feeling your knees a lot. Maybe that's something different. Ask for that advice. Personal trainers are there for a reason. If you have any friends, just shoot them a Facebook message. Ask them if what you're doing sounds right. I know I have quite a few people who send me messages all the time. Not everyone from boot camp, but I have a few other friends who have tried to get back into it, who have asked me questions, who I really try and help out because this is my passion. For example, if you post a question down below for me to answer today, if I don't get to it in the show, I'll definitely make sure that I send you a response anyways, because I want to make sure that I'm helping people. That is why I am here. If you go to someplace like bodybuilding.com, I I'm not advocating bodybuilding.com per se, but they do have a lot of advice and a lot of pointers and a lot of workouts. So if you have no idea what you're doing and you need something basic, if you go to a website like bodybuilding.com, or if you're trying to get into CrossFit, CrossFit.com has their own workouts of the day. Trying to find something like that, there are a ton of free blogs, can be a great resource. And on something like bodybuilding.com, they have video libraries for everything. So then, oh, you don't know what a dumbbell pullover is, you can look it up, and all of a sudden you know mostly what to look for, and it tells you the couple cues or pointers for what to look for to make sure that you're doing it correctly. And those help a lot. Just remember though, not everything on those websites is geared for you specifically. I know there are a few different workout programs on bodybuilding.com, for example, that are geared towards people who have been lifting for years. If you haven't been lifting for years, try not to look at those things. Finding something that works for you will go a long way. So now we know where we're going to work out. We have a kind of basic program. We know how long we're about to work out for, whether it's 30 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour. We know why we're doing it. Let's go through it. When? We schedule it. We're going to go through the 5 W's. Let's see if I can remember these. It's been since about high school since I had to think about this. English teachers are probably going to be staring at me. What? Working out. Why? Where? When? How? 5 bases covered. Now, you've been working out for a couple months. You figure out how you like working out, because, by the way, you should try different training programs. You could try a group fitness program. You can try powerlifting. You can try CrossFit. You can try weightlifting. You can try bodybuilding. And you can try any combination of in between. What works best for you is what you need to be doing. Don't take it from me or anyone on the online space what you should be doing. You should be doing what you enjoy, because if you don't enjoy what you're doing, why are you doing it? You're making yourself miserable. You're adding stress to your life. If you're doing what you like when you're working out, you're de-stressing your life, and that really helps out. All of the workout stuff is done. Now we're going into nutrition, which I've kind of talked about last week, but having that proper nutrition program will just help accelerate those results way more. Making sure to eat protein at every meal will go a long way to making sure that you are restoring your muscles, because when you work out, you break down those muscles. You need to make sure that you're repairing yourself. A lot of people, when they first start working out, they are either severely overeating or undereating. And you can tell if you're gaining a lot of weight when you're working out, or you're getting super strong, you might be in a calorie surplus, so it might be counterintuitive. But again, you need to figure out where you're starting from. If you are very thin and you already have a six-pack just naturally, maybe you don't really need to cut out any weight. Maybe you're trying to gain weight. All of a sudden you need to eat in a calorie surplus. Eating protein and carbohydrates and fats in a surplus, about an 800 to 1,000 calorie surplus, might be doing you a lot of good to help you gain muscle mass, which is good. If you're 100 pounds overweight, maybe we need to figure out where you're at so we can put you into a slight deficit so that we can start burning that fat off, which will be actually a little bit higher protein, because we want to maintain the muscle mass that you have while bringing that body fat percentage down. And remember, there's no quick fix. You're not going to get strong overnight. Actually, here's a fun fact for you. You get stronger this quickly. So you get stronger fairly slowly, actually. It takes years and years to build a giant base of strength. So those people you see deadlifting 600 pounds did not start that way. They started low and they've worked at it for years. Conditioning, lung capacity, or aerobic capacity as it's called, can be built up in a couple months. Strength takes years. So focusing on a strength base to start with is actually probably going to be a better idea for everyone. And I say probably because it really depends. And then you can add that aerobic, that cardio in. So if you want to be able to run longer distances, start running more. But there's a nice caveat there. Again, fitness is a giant it depends. If you hate running, I do not recommend running. I hate running. I barely run. Anyone who knows me can attest to me not running. I do 1 5K a year, and I call it good. But how I build my aerobic capacity is I'll do other things, like I will row. I'll do high-intensity interval training. I'll ski erg, which is a very fun cardio machine. I try and stay away from treadmills, but I might do sprints outside or on a treadmill if it's really cold out. But distance running is really not my jam. I have other people who absolutely love running, and I would never tell them to stop running. If you love running, run. Add it in. I can tell you, though, strength-based workouts will help you in your running. If you're a marathon runner, having a strength base can help increase your stride. There was actually a study done by Nike's Performance Center. I cannot remember his name, but he figured out there's a specific equation for how a hex bar deadlift, which a hex bar is that kind of bar that you stand between. It's a hex, so it's a 6-sided bar. It has 2 handles on the side, standing up and setting it back down, directly impacts the stride length of a marathon runner. And he did testing with this with the marathon runner who ran the Boston Marathon. Between 2 years, I believe it was somewhere about a 150, 200 stride difference. So that's 150 to 200 less strides because he had more power through his legs to just naturally move him along. That number might be higher. Like I said, I'm kind of pulling this from memory. I will definitely find that study and put it in the show notes. But keep that in mind. Everyone needs a starting point. If you need help figuring out where yours is, feel free to ask. All right, we got about 5 minutes left, a little bit less actually. I went a little bit over, but that's okay. If you have any questions, please ask below. I'm actually going to take this time to answer a question asked a couple weeks ago from my friend Brandon, who asked how he should add cardio into a strength training program because he actually just started out. Brandon, what we should probably do for you is to start you out slow on something like a treadmill if you're physically looking to add cardio in. What you can do is actually one of my favorite ways if I'm trying to start something off or if I'm trying to start train for that 5K that I do. I will start by putting the treadmill on a sprint, and I will sprint for 10 seconds, or if it's nice out, you can go outside and do this, that's fine. Start out with about 10 minutes where you sprint for 10 seconds and walk for 50 seconds. Then once that feels like you're doing pretty good with that, you can start by going 20 seconds and 40 seconds, 30 and 30, 40 and 20, so on and so forth. That way you have these sprint intervals going. Another way you can do it, if you're not trying to add any time, if you're very limited on time, is you can add something in between a strength exercise. For example, it's called cardio acceleration by Dr. Jim Stepani. For example, if you're doing a bench press, in between your sets on bench press, maybe you're doing step-ups or you're doing jumping jacks to try and keep your heart rate elevated a little bit, and that will also help you burn extra calories. Wow, apparently nobody has questions today. So, actually, I'm going to take a second real quick to remind you if you are listening on IPM Nation, thank you very much. If you're watching here on Facebook, please make sure you share this video and share my page. That way I can reach out to as many people as possible. If you could go and subscribe to the YouTube channel for Counterpunch Media, which is where my show is located, you can find that. I will make sure I add that to the links, or maybe Wayne can post that link in the comments below. And starting on Tuesdays, you'll also be able to find the audio of the show wherever you can listen to your podcast, which can be iTunes. It was just proved on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and anywhere else podcasts can be found. Heidi is asking me, how many days a week do I work out? I try and work out 4 to 5 days a week. Sometimes that does happen, sometimes that does not, depending on schedule, but that's what I aim for, and that's how I am really happy. That being said, hopefully you found everything in this show to help out today. Give me that like, share, subscribe, please. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your night.